The safety of lawyers is under scrutiny after an apparent hit on a Sibanye-Stillwater lawyer. She was gunned down outside a Johannesburg court yesterday morning, shortly after leaving her car. The Law Society of South Africa's Nkosana Mvundlela joining us now to react to this latest incident. Mr. Mvundlela, good to talk to you tonight. Thank you indeed for your time. And I say this latest incident because it's not the first of its kind. Give us your reaction and what you know about this specific case thus far.
Good evening, Oli, and good evening to all your listeners and your viewers. We are shattered as the Law Society of South Africa and the legal profession in general to see the level of crime and the heinous way in which lawyers are being killed in South Africa. Very recently, you'd recall that we were somewhat worried and complaining about the death of prosecutors, and all of a sudden, another lawyer was shot in his office in around the Gauteng province. And now we have another lawyer also who has been shot during the time that she was at work. And we can't but not associate her senseless murder to the kind of work she does, because if it wasn't for that work, we believe that she would still be safe, because if she was hit on her way to a process where she was going to resolve a dispute probably between an employer and employees, then it tells you that we are being attacked for the kind of work that we are doing as lawyers. It is such an unfortunate situation. Yeah. We cannot be bragging about ourselves being a country in which the rule of law reigns supreme. But those that are the protectors of the rule of law are the ones that are under spurious attack that has shown its ugly head on this unfortunate young lawyer who understood her responsibility and woke up at home to go and do her job as best as she would have been educated to do. Indeed. So your viewers must be able to be the first to complain to the officials of safety and security in the country about the fact that if you attack a lawyer, you might as well attack a judge, you might as well attack a prosecutor every day, you might as well attack the members of the police, because all these bodies are established in terms of the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the country, where everybody must respect it and respect those whose job is to actually protect it.
Indeed. And as you and I speak right now, we're talking about a country's criminal justice system that effectively is being scrutinized through commissions of inquiry. But this is a special case of its own. As you mentioned just previously, that there was a lawyer who was shot last year in Johannesburg at his offices. This was Bauer van Niekerk. The date was September of last year. Before his assassination, it was Tracy Brown, the prosecutor in Gqeberha. She was killed in July of last year. Yes. I'll ask you a little later about what you think needs to be done. But for the moment, let's focus the attention on this particular young lawyer. Apparently, she was only 35 years old. Already there has been comment from Sibanye-Stillwater. This is a company. And the spokesperson there, James Wellstead, quoted widely in the media as saying, and I quote, "She represented us in employee disputes, which often go to the CCMA, and that explains why we've been showing visuals of the CCMA building in downtown Johannesburg." He goes further to say, "I know there was a dispute she was busy dealing with, but I don't have all the details." Do you believe that this may indeed have been a targeted hit related to the kind of work she was doing?
Nothing else makes sense, and with a sense of understanding of what is at play, would be quick to actually think that it may as well be so much related to the work she was going to do. I don't think that as the Law Society we can close our eyes to that possibility that we are being targeted as lawyers for the kind of work we do. Probably because either people choose not to understand the work we do, or they understand it and they just misinterpret it for what they want to care about. If you are representing one of the parties in any dispute, Koli, you are not part of that dispute. You are assisting in finding a solution. And people in the country must start to understand that part, that we are there to facilitate resolutions of disputes. And we cannot disassociate this heinous murder from the possibility of the fact that it was work-related. The same way that it happened with the colleague that you just mentioned who was killed last year in his office.
Yeah.
The likelihood is there may as well have been some link with the kind of work that he was doing. The same thing that happened in the court somewhere in Johannesburg, where people were shot when they were leaving court. These are incidences that we must not take lying down or take for granted as members of society, because these lawyers that we are talking about are the very lawyers that ultimately may end up becoming judges in our system, may end up becoming magistrates in our system, and they will be assisting us every day to resolve problems. We cannot allow a situation in which the lawyers are under attack for disputes that are not personally theirs.
Yeah.
That young lady may not have had any particular dispute that she was going to resolve at the CCMA at the time. But when you are murdered on your way to work, just outside of probably the CCMA building or a magistrate building or a high court building, whilst you are going to work, it becomes a little more obvious for anybody to think that probably you were murdered by those who you didn't agree with in that dispute that you were trying to resolve. So I'm urging all members of society to understand that our job is simply to assist, to facilitate problem solving, and not to become the problems that people think we are.
Indeed.
And killing one lawyer does not on its own remove the dispute. It doesn't even resolve the dispute. In fact, what it just does, it kicks the can down the road. You are going to still appear before the same dispute resolution institution, and you are still going to have to testify in the manner that you may have testified. So killing the lawyer does not solve your problem, and we urge members of society to respect the fact that as lawyers, we're just doing a job.
Yeah.
And we are not in any way part of any dispute.
As we conclude our conversation, Mr. Mvundlela, your connection not too good, so let's try and make it quick. I know that the Minister of Justice, Mamuloko Kubai, was cut up last year, especially on the back of the murder of Tracy Brown, the prosecutor in Gqeberha. And she didn't mince her words that this was an attack on the state. What do you think needs to be done when you factor in this latest murder, you factor in Bauer van Niekerk, the man who was killed in his offices last year? What needs to be done to not only protect lawyers, but perhaps do exactly what you're doing now, advocating that these are people who are merely facilitating to resolve disputes. They are not party to the disputes.
Thanks very much, Cody. I think for me, it doesn't start with what needs to be done to protect particularly the lawyers or the prosecutors. I think generally it has everything to do with South Africans becoming law-abiding citizens. It has everything to do with all of us appreciating the role that the police and the role that lawyers play, the role that prosecutors play, the role that judges play, the role that the entire chain and network of the entire Justice Department has to work for all of us to benefit. We should be able to have a sense of respecting the rule of law for all of us. Because as matters stands, it's a fact that we don't expect that every lawyer must appoint a bodyguard. Even if you appointed a bodyguard, if people wanted to kill you, they would always find a way. And we believe that there is no need for those kind of things, because in a law-abiding citizenship kind of country, people would respect the right to life. People would respect the right to any profession to be carried out without fear or favor. People would respect the role that each of the players in the value chain plays, and be able to appreciate that those people who are playing a role in the value chain are not the source of pain for anyone. And we call upon everybody to respect that. We send our sincere condolences to the family of this young lawyer and the entire profession, and we call upon you as members of the profession to be alert, to try your best at all costs to do these things. And if people can attack you in your office, then we can't say people must not go to court. We must all do virtual courts, because it means that even our office spaces are not safe, just as going to court is not safe.
Yeah.
So let us call upon all members of society to respect the law, to appreciate the fact that the right to life is sacrosanct and nobody must easily take it away. We call upon all the security cluster to make sure that those that committed this act of violence against this young life are arrested and they are brought to book as soon as possible.
Nkosana Mvundlela, thank you very much for your time.